Her triumphs. I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials.
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story.
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here's your host, Lauren McLean.
We're so glad you joined us for Her Why, where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. Today's guests are two sisters on the BYU softball team from Mililani, Hawaii, Aleia and Ailana Agbayani. Thank you so much for being here, gals.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I'm so excited. This is such a cool thing that you guys get to play here together. So you two had no ties to BYU before coming here to play softball. Now you're both here in Provo playing on a team together. How did you make that happen?
Well, honestly, I was just given the opportunity by Coach Eakin, which I'm so thankful for. I got hurt my last year at Cal, so it was kind of tough. And I thought, man, I don't know if I'm going to play softball after this. And Coach Eakin reached out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to have the opportunity to play with my sister and play for BYU.
Wow. So did you put a bug in Coach Eakin's ear?
Actually, he was the one that was saying, wouldn't it be so cool to have your sister and play together? And I was like, yeah, you can definitely make that happen, Coach Eakin.
Wow, how cool is that? So what did you guys know about BYU before actually coming to BYU?
Well, in all honesty, I didn't know much about it at all. It was actually during COVID, the time I was in my recruitment process, and we called it recruiting. We did this little prospect camp, and it was actually live streamed. So he was just watching it. And right after that one weekend, that was the first time he ever saw me play. He offered me immediately after that a scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah.
So had you received any other offers up to that point?
Yes, from a few other schools, but Coach Eakin gave me an offer I just couldn't refuse.
Wow. So you must have just been incredible in that game, right? For him to be like, I don't know you, I just watched you play, I'm going to offer you a scholarship.
Yeah, it was crazy. I just I flew back home after that. I think it was on a Saturday. It was a Saturday, and then I flew back home on a Sunday. And once I landed, I got a text from my travel ball coach at the time, and he was like, hey, BYU's head coach, Gordon Eakin's really interested, and he wants to talk to you. So I called him up that day, and we started talking.
Wow. That is so cool. I love that story. So you had heard of BYU before then, but just you didn't know much about it.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So now that you're here, what's it like playing with each other? Because, how many games have you played? I know you've done scrimmages and stuff like that, but you're not in the actual season. But what's it like being on the same team?
We got to play my senior year of high school, so it'll be her freshman year. So it kind of feels like that again, just being on the field together. It's a lot of fun. And it's so good for our parents and our family, because now they just get to see us in one place. And we're so grateful that we get to go home, actually, for our first preseason game. Okay.
So cool. And you graduated from Cal before coming to BYU. What's it been like adjusting from one program to the next?
At first I thought it was going to be kind of difficult because coming from a Pac-12 school, but it's kind of cool that we're now in the Big 12, and I think that's what really enticed me. I think it's a better environment for me here. It's been definitely a more of a positive side to softball. Really, I had a hard time at Cal with loving the game, and I think that I really got it back here. So it's been fun so far.
And you mentioned you got injured as well. That doesn't help.
Yeah.
So what was your injury, and how did you overcome that?
I'd hurt my back pretty bad with weightlifting, and it made it hard for me to even swing a bat, even run. So it was kind of hard watching my last year go by. I got to go on all the trips and get the experience of making postseason, but it was just not that same feel of being in my uniform, being out on the field. So it was kind of hard to take that all in. So I'm happy that I got the chance to come back and be in a better environment that I like and be with my sister. So
do you feel like the injury had a huge part of you falling out of love with softball, or was there other things that kind of went into that?
I think there was a lot of other things, but the injury kind of pushed me over, like, wow, do I really want to play anymore? Like, is this kind of the sign that you shouldn't be playing anymore and you should just call it quits and just focus on what's next? But I think getting the opportunity to come here has really opened me up to, wow, like I really do love softball. Like this has been my game the whole life and it's always fun. And being around a good group of girls, think has really helped.
What made you keep going during those tough times? Because like you said, you fell out of love. You thought about quitting sometimes. What was it that kept you going during those hard times?
I think just knowing that I was going to get my degree. I was like, I worked my butt off for 3 years before this. Like, I just have one more year. I can stick it out. It was just because I got hurt in January, so I only had a couple months left of school. And I was like, this degree is going to last me for 40 years if I can get this done. So I think that's what really kept me going and wanting to stay at Cal.
You're both from Mililani, Mauka, Hawaii. How do you pronounce it?
Mauka.
It's at the very center of the island of Oahu. What was it like growing up there?
I loved it. I mean, I felt like it was definitely the suburbs. So it's definitely different because people think, oh, you're from Hawaii, like you must live by the beach. You go surfing all the time. And the closest beach to me is probably like half an hour, 25 minutes away, I would say. But it was real. I loved growing up there. It was amazing. Just the town. I just loved it. The only bad thing was that we went to private school, which was all the way in town, and the traffic was horrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man. So how long did it take to get to school every day?
Well, normally it's just a half an hour drive, but with traffic turns like an hour and a half. And that's why we would have to leave like 5:30 in the morning to get to school on time. And then after school, if you didn't leave right after school, then it would probably take like 1 to 2 hours to get home.
Oh my gosh. What was that like? Like, do you look back and you're like, man, I wish I would have just gone to a normal school so I'd have had more time? Or are you grateful for those times?
I'm grateful for those times, but I just look back and I'm like, I don't know how I did that. I don't know how. And I would travel every weekend to California. So I'm like, I don't know how I would wake up.
That's incredible. Well, Provo was very different from Hawaii. Is there anything you miss about where you grew up?
I would think everyone would think that I would say the weather, but I kind of like that it snows here. It's kind of different for me because I've been in the cold for the past 4 years, but honestly, I feel like Provo is almost like a second home here, especially with how nice everyone is and like welcoming they are here. So I really don't miss home that much.
Oh, that's good to hear. I'm glad everyone's made you feel that way because everyone's thinking like, I would rather be in Hawaii than be in Provo, Utah. But I'm so glad you guys think that way. You also grew up in the same house as a Major League Baseball player. For those who may not know, your dad, Benny Agbayani, he played for the New York Mets, Colorado Rockies, Boston Red Sox, and Nippon Pro in Japan. What was it like growing up with a famous dad?
It's such a different experience growing up because you're going to games all the time. I think especially what I remember the most because he was I was born in 2001, so he was still in New York at the time. But what I remember the most is Japan, and that was oh my gosh, that was such a great experience. And you just meet so many people, and I went to so many games. I would sometimes even go to the games by myself because my mom would have to stay home and watch Ailana and then our younger brother Bruin. So I would ride my bike to the game, and then my dad would drive us home. So it was just honestly, it was so much fun there.
So how old were you when you guys finally left Japan?
I think I was about 7.
7 years old.
Yeah.
So you do have some pretty vivid memories of living in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so cool. Ailana, is that something you like to tell people about your dad, or do you wait till people kind of figure it out when you meet him?
I think I like to just wait for people to figure it out because I don't want to be like, hey, my dad played professional baseball.
Yeah. But that's a cool get to know you thing for sure. If you're playing a get to know you game, it's no way. So were you too young, Ailana, to remember any of the games? or living in Japan?
I remember a little bit. I wish I was like older so I could appreciate it more and like have a lot of memories. But what I do remember is like we would go in Japan, we would always go to Disneyland, and I loved it so much.
Did a lot of people recognize your dad when you guys would go places?
In Japan, yes.
Okay.
No, for sure. And I recently went with him to New York. He had like an old timers game. And I'm like, my dad's like so old. There's no way they all still remember him. And they're like, Benny, can you please? I'm like, we're literally just walking through the stadium. There's no way all these fans are really like noticing him and like wanting to get a picture with him. So it was pretty crazy.
That'd have been cool for you. They called him Benny and the Mets. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So what made him decide to come back to Hawaii and start coaching high school softball?
Well, when we moved back from Japan, a good friend of his started a club ball, and we were called Crush Softball. And from there, my dad has coached through that club, and then he moves on he had actually coached me from 7th grade all the way through senior year. But my senior year, that's when he became the head coach. So he was always assisting at the time. And I think what really pushed him was having 2 daughters. Like that's what definitely pushed him to be our coach. And he just knew what it like would take for us to get to the next level beyond just our high school years.
Wow. So, Ailana, what was it like being coached by your dad, being a former professional player himself? And like Leia said, he knows how to get there. He knows. And so I'm sure he's trying to push you. So what was it like being coached by your dad?
It was amazing. It was, of course, he was like tougher on me than everyone else, but it was awesome because he really pushed me every day. And every time we would go to the field, we would have practice, and then right after practice, he would take me to the cages and hit. So it was great. I wouldn't be the player I am today without my dad's help and his coaching.
Leia, your mom also played at the University of Hawaii. What impact did she have on your softball career?
She has a huge impact because everyone looks at it like, oh, well, your dad's a professional player. But really, my mom, they coached alongside each other with us growing up. And everyone would think it's my dad running the show because he's head coach. But really, my mom is the one that she's always like, they need to be doing this. And they have to be working on this when they're hitting, or they need to be doing this when they're fielding. So she's honestly the one that really pushes us the most.
Because there's a difference, obviously, between baseball and softball. Was it nice having your mom that had that knowledge towards that specific sport?
It definitely was. And it definitely was a big push knowing that she also played softball in college. And she was also a standout in high school. So for us, it was like, well, we kind of have big shoes to fill because now, we have a professional playing dad, but then we also have a mom that's been there in college, experienced playing against all these great people. So I think it's really helped us where we are today.
Ailana, what's something you feel like your parents have taught you that will always stick with you during those years?
I think the biggest thing that they taught me was, I would say hard work. I mean, my parents are the true definition of hard work, especially my dad. I mean, he wakes up at like 3 a.m., works from 4 to like 2 in the afternoon. And then when we were in high school, he would go and coach us at softball practice. And then right after softball practice, he would be doing hitting lessons with people. And so he wouldn't even go to bed until like 10 p.m. at night or 11. So, wow. Yeah.
What do you feel like you've learned from your parents?
Oh, man. It's a process. And you have to trust it, for sure. They put a lot of time into us going to the mainland to play. And they really put a lot of money, especially into our education. And it was nice that it paid off in the end, that we kind of repaid them by going to college. And I mean, I got my degree, so they were so happy that they're like, okay, now you're moving on to something new, like you're going to be getting a master's. So definitely trusting the process.
You're like, whew, I paid off that debt when I graduated. That's so cool. Aleia, what was Ailana like growing up? Because you guys are about 2.5 years, would you say, ish, apart?
3.
3 years,
Yeah.
Okay. What was she like growing up from the older sister's perspective?
She was always like this silly, goofy person growing up. She'd be kind of shy, though. shy until she really got to know you. Then she's so talkative. She loves messing around. She loves making videos. Like, I would be playing games and she would have like my teammate's mom before the game, like, film her and her friend doing like these dance videos. And they would do this every single time that we played. So I was like, is my sister really like softball? or does she just like hang out with her friends at the field?
It's a little of both, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to have fun. I love that. So, Ailana, what was Aleia like growing up?
Aleia was always, I would say she was the responsible sister. Definitely the responsible sister. I mean, she still is, I will have to admit. She's always keeping me in check. And yeah, she was always responsible for me, especially in high school. She would always drive me. And she was the one to always have to wake me up in the morning for school and to get ready. So she was definitely the responsible one.
Yep. Typical older sister. I love it. So you guys mentioned you got to play with each other in high school. Is it different playing together now than it was back then?
I think it has to be. We're like a different maturity now.
Right.
I mean, we're pretty mature. Like, she was very mature at the freshman age to be on the varsity team, starting at shortstop and pitching for us. But it's definitely a different, I guess, vibe, because now we're both in the college. Like, we're in the college mindset now. And it's a different dynamic of us playing, because I used to be like the pitcher and she'd be the shortstop. And sometimes I would like turn around the game and be like, you weren't in the right position. You just missed that ground
she
ball.
would yell at me.
How would you take that?
I would talk to her back.
Your teammates are like, oh, what do we say? That's so funny. Is she still making videos pregame? That's the question.
Yeah.
She does?
Yes.
With Maddie B. She makes
Yes,
videos for the
I
game.
love it. You got to do it. I feel like those who play softball and baseball will appreciate this. Your dad bats right, throws right. Aleia, you bat right, throw left. And Ailana, you and Bruin bat left and throw right.
Yes.
Is that right? Whoa, that's a lot of. Where did all these lefties come from? Like, is your mom left-handed? How did that all come about?
So, Lana is a switch. She
Okay.
was right-handed and they switched her to left.
Okay.
And then, but Bruin, he's a natural. Like, he throws right and he hits left. Like, that was just him growing up. For me, I don't know how I ended up throwing left-handed and then hitting right. My dad tried for years of me growing up. He tried to make me hit left-handed, but I just couldn't do it. And he was like, well, my favorite baseball player growing up was the same way. So I think that's why, because you're the firstborn. And I was like, okay.
Try and make sense of it, Dad. That's fine. So are you left-handed? Or you
Yes.
just throw left? So you are left-handed.
Yeah.
But you just started batting right.
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't know why I did that.
Oh my gosh, how funny is that?
Because I play soccer, I kick with my left. And then when I play tennis, I'll have the racket in my left hand. So I don't understand how, once I started playing baseball, that I just wanted to bat right-handed.
That is so funny. I love it. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have more from Aleia and Ailana Agbayani from the BYU softball team. Welcome back to Her Why. We're here with Aleia and Ailana Agbayani from the women's BYU softball team. So you both played with the California Orange County Batbusters in high school, and you mentioned that you had to travel to California. What was that like? Because that had to have been, obviously you mentioned how much time it took. What was that like for you? Let's start with Aleia.
So I started going in 6th grade, and this is when I just started at my private school that I was going to. So at first it was hard, definitely hard for me, because I'm at a new school. The workload is heavy. And then on Friday I would have to fly out. So Friday night we leave and we get into California Saturday morning, and we're shooting it straight to practice. And then Sunday night we're out of there. So it was just kind of like that for, all the way through my senior year of high school.
That's so softball kind of just took over. Like that was life during that time.
Pretty much.
Ailana, so it's one of the best organizations in girls fast pitch softball. When you look back, do you appreciate that time you had on that team?
I appreciate it. The group of girls that I played with couldn't be any better. I mean, I got to play with a bunch of girls that I looked up to, and they're now all Americans. And so Coach Mike really knows how to build these girls up and really become the best person on and off the softball field. So it was amazing. I got to play. She's she's an All-American now, and she's like she's probably gonna be the shortstop this year at Oklahoma. But that's who really mentored me. So I appreciate like being in that organization, because without Coach Mike and without Tiari, like I wouldn't be the person I am.
Well, something worked out for both of you. You were both Hawaii Gatorade Players of the Year. That is such an incredible thing for one person, let alone two sisters. Aleia, how did you end up choosing the University of California, Berkeley out of high school?
Oh, Coach Niemeyer was the original coach that I signed to. And she was such an awesome person. I went to go to a camp over there, and she sat me down in her office, and she's like, we want you here, and we're going to have this new stadium. We're going to have all these things. And at the time, I'm just like a freshman. I'm a freshman in high school, and I'm like, wow, this sounds like crazy. Like, this is so cool that you're going to offer me right now. You have no idea what I'm going to be like in 3 years, and you're going to offer me today. And she just gave me a deal that like I couldn't turn away. And Cal just coming from a college prep high school, it was just one of those schools that when my classmates asked me, oh, where are you going to school? I'm like, well, I'm going to Cal Berkeley. They're like, wow, like you must be really smart. I'm like, oh, no. Like, I'm going to play softball over there, but yeah.
But you can think I'm smart, which you were, because I believe you were on the all academic team at Cal, right? So yes, she was correct. Man, you guys have been all over the place. You've been to Hawaii, California, Utah. How often do you get to see your family through all of this?
Quite not that often, especially during high school time. It was tough, especially seeing like every other like teenager. They're home for the weekend, they're going to the beach, they get to go to the birthday parties. And then my family, I have a big family, and we love to have family gatherings, and I hated missing out on the family gatherings. Those ones really got me, because I love being with my family. We do this thing where we go to the beach and we stay there from sunrise to sunset, and we just spend the time together. So those days I missed. But I would say that I spent a lot of time with my mom, because she was the one that would always fly out with me. So yeah, props to her for always flying out and missing her, being away from her husband. Yeah.
And she had to miss the family functions as well for you guys. So what does it mean to you to have Aleia here, since you kind of missed out on so much family time?
Yeah, it's so surreal. Sometimes I'm like, especially the first time where we were actually playing together here at BYU, like on the softball field, and I look over to right field and I'm like, what the heck, my sister's in right. Like, it's such a surreal moment, and I'm like, it's amazing and I love it, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Ailana, you had an incredible first season at BYU, a freshman season. What allowed you to have such a standout season in year one?
I think I would say the support from the coaches. I would say Coach Eakin really is such a great coach, and he really just knows how to work with you, and he really just shows. I love being an athlete here at BYU, especially with Coach Eakin as a head coach, because he really reminds us that we're more than just athletes. It's hard. It was hard, especially like my first year, and with season starting and playing all these schools and the names and like wearing BYU across my chest. Like, sometimes that pressure got to me, but he was always there to ground me and remind me that it's okay, and he's there for me. So that's what really that was the reason, honestly, I had a successful year.
That's a powerful coach right there. Aleia, what's been your favorite part about being on this BYU team so far?
Oh, I would have to say my teammates and the atmosphere that we've created with our coaches. I've never been like so close with the coaches. Like, every day I look forward to going to practice, seeing everyone, and, saying hi to my coach. And I've never been on that level to like go into their office and really sit down and just have a normal conversation or talk about softball. So I think that's been an awesome change for me, and something that I really enjoyed so far with being here.
Ailana, you mentioned Coach Egan as one of the reasons that you had a great freshman year, but what's your favorite part about this BYU softball team?
I would say my favorite part is the girls. I love them so much. It's sometimes we always just joke around and laugh, and we're such a goofy team, and I love it because we just don't take things too seriously, which is good because when we take it seriously, that's when we get into our heads about things. And I would say that everyone's there to check up on you. Like, even if you look sad, someone on the team is like, hey, are you all right? Even though, like, you're perfectly fine. But it's just those little things that just make me love all the girls on the team.
Your brother's a junior in high school. Any chance you guys can convince him to come to Provo?
I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. He's a kid with big dreams for sure. And, I mean, he's a boy. So he's the only boy. So he has big expectations to live up to because everyone's looking at him like, well, are you going to follow in your dad's footsteps? Like, they're waiting. They're waiting to see what's going to happen.
That would be hard. That would be hard coming from the only boy. Now that BYU's in the Big 12, what are you most looking forward to this season?
I'm looking forward to competing. I can't wait. We're playing at the highest level of softball right now, being a Power 5 school, and I'm excited for this season because I truly believe that we'll have a great season this year.
What do you think?
I'm super excited. I mean, we get to go against the number 1 team in the country. And
we'll be the number 1 team.
Yeah, I love it.
We're about to take their spot because our team this year definitely is on the come up. I mean, just already with this fall, I can tell that like we mesh so well together on and off the field.
It's so important. This team has a fun tradition of earning your why. What goes into that? Because I know you both did it. What goes into that?
So I know that Coach Egan changed it this year. And I mean, he still called it earning your why, but this time around we were earning puzzle pieces that in the end puts together the word team. And for me, that was something new. I'm like, I've never heard of like, you're earning your pretty much that why that you wear across your chest. But I like the idea that he made it like, okay, well, you're going to be a puzzle piece to this team. And I think that's what pushed all of us already in the beginning to be the good teammate, to push ourselves every day in practice, to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And I think that's what really is going to push us to do well in the Big 12.
What do you think?
I think that I really loved his puzzle piece and earning our why because to me that meant that all those puzzle pieces fit together and that just shows that we're all in. And it shows that everyone has a role on the team. There's really no star player because everyone has a certain role. Will come off the bench to like lay down a bunt, to move down the runner, a pinch hitter going in, a pinch runner. Like everyone has a role no matter if you start the game, if you come in later, or if you come in to end the game. You all have it's just a reminder that we all have a role on the team. And if we pull all together, we'll do great things.
So cool. We're here with Ailana and Aleia Agbayani from the BYU softball team. You girls are incredible. I cannot wait to watch you this season, especially together on the field at the same time. That's going to be so much fun. I'm super stoked for your parents because how cool is that? I bet they're so excited for that. Thank you so much for coming on. And thanks also to Annie Robinson and Sydney Simpson for producing this episode. Cleon Wall is the senior producer. You can download and listen to all episodes of Her Why on the BYU Radio app or wherever you find podcasts. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.